Brewer added 12 points, and Milos Branic and Daniel Simmons each scored 10. The Red Hawks, who are now 4-4 on the season. Isaiah Gable added 9 points, all from long range, as the Red Hawks had a season high with 10 three-pointers. Gable's second three of the game gave SEMO its first double-digit lead at 38-28 late in the first half. Mahoney's drive shot off the glass gave SEMO a 10-point advantage with 3 minutes left in the back in action at home against UMKC. The Kansas City Chiefs lost to the New York Jets on Sunday, 38-31. The Chiefs are now 6-6 on the season. Alex Smith threw for 366 yards and 4 touchdowns. The Chiefs are at home next Sunday against Oakland. And the St. Louis Blues lost 2 games over the weekend, 4-1 against the LA Kings on Friday, and 2-1 against the Minnesota Wild on Saturday. The Blues are now in second place. In the Central Division, they play Montreal on Tuesday.
Get Sports Center updates every hour on Southeast Missouri's ESPN 92.9 FM and 1220 AM.
When it comes to wings, everyone knows size does matter, and no one knows it better than Wings Etc. Grill and Pub. Wings Etc. has the biggest, meatiest, award-winning jumbo wings in town. If you love wings and a whole menu of great food and drink options and tons of flat screens tuned into sports, we've got you covered. And now, when you can't eat here, order online for pickup at togo.wingsetc.com. It's fast, easy, and convenient. Wings Etc. Grill and Pub. Good food, great times, and online ordering at togo.wingsetc.com.
Have you downloaded the SEMO ESPN app?
Check it out, man.
Check it out now, free on the App Store or Google Play, and download today. Listen live to ESPN 92.9 FM or ESPN 1220 AM 24/7 in crystal clear audio. Watch the Red Hawks Coaches Show live video webcast. Enter our contest. Get local weather and live radar. See what others are saying on our Facebook and Twitter feeds. Everybody's downloading the free SEMO ESPN app. The real question, are you? Find it on the App Store or Google Play today.
End of message.
Now you can serve a great holiday meal with zero fuss. Just place an order for our $65 holiday carryout special with Farmer's Pick Buffet at Isle Casino Cape Girardeau. You get sliced turkey with gravy, glazed ham, and all the fixins, plus pecan or pumpkin pie. It serves 4 to 5 people.
Brewer added 12 points, and Milos Branic and Daniel Simmons each scored 10. The Red Hawks, who are now 4-4 on the season. Isaiah Gable added 9 points, all from long range, as the Red Hawks had a season high with 10 three-pointers. Gable's second three of the game gave SEMO its first double-digit lead at 38-28 late in the first half. Mahoney's drive shot off the glass gave SEMO a 10-point advantage with 3 minutes left in the back in action at home against UMKC. The Kansas City Chiefs lost to the New York Jets on Sunday, 38-31. The Chiefs are now 6-6 on the season. Alex Smith threw for 366 yards and 4 touchdowns. The Chiefs are at home next Sunday against Oakland. And the St. Louis Blues lost 2 games over the weekend, 4-1 against the LA Kings on Friday, and 2-1 against the Minnesota Wild on Saturday. The Blues are now in second place. In the Central Division, they play Montreal on Tuesday.
Get Sports Center updates every hour on Southeast Missouri's ESPN 92.9 FM and 1220 AM.
When it comes to wings, everyone knows size does matter, and no one knows it better than Wings Etc. Grill and Pub. Wings Etc. has the biggest, meatiest, award-winning jumbo wings in town. If you love wings and a whole menu of great food and drink options and tons of flat screens tuned into sports, we've got you covered. And now, when you can't eat here, order online for pickup at togo.wingsetc.com. It's fast, easy, and convenient. Wings Etc. Grill and Pub. Good food, great times, and online ordering at togo.wingsetc.com.
Have you downloaded the SEMO ESPN app?
Check it out, man.
Check it out now, free on the App Store or Google Play, and download today. Listen live to ESPN 92.9 FM or ESPN 1220 AM 24/7 in crystal clear audio. Watch the Red Hawks Coaches Show live video webcast. Enter our contest. Get local weather and live radar. See what others are saying on our Facebook and Twitter feeds. Everybody's downloading the free SEMO ESPN app. The real question, are you? Find it on the App Store or Google Play today.
End of message.
Now you can serve a great holiday meal with zero fuss. Just place an order for our $65 holiday carryout special with Farmer's Pick Buffet at Isle Casino Cape Girardeau. You get sliced turkey with gravy, glazed ham, and all the fixins, plus pecan or pumpkin pie. It serves 4 to 5 people. Available November 1st to December 30th. Visit IsleCapeGirardeau.com. Must be 21. Any and all terms, conditions, rewards, and or benefits published or received are subject to change or revocation without notice. Eligibility rules and exceptions apply. Refer to official promotional rules. Gambling problem? Call 1-888-BETS-OFF.
This is Southeast Missouri's ESPN.
Brewer added 12 points to Milos Bronish and Daniel Simmons each scored 10. The Red Hawks, who are now 4-4 on the season. Isaiah Gable added 9 points all from long range as the Red Hawks had a season high with 10 3-pointers. Gable's second three at the game gave SEMO its first double-digit lead at 38-28 late in the first half. Mahoney's drive shot off the glass gave SEMO a 10-point advantage with 3 minutes left in the back in action at home against UMKC. The Kansas City Chiefs lost to the New York Jets on Sunday, 38-31. The Chiefs are now 6-6 on the season. Alex Smith threw for 366 yards and 4 touchdowns. The Chiefs are at home next Sunday against Oakland. And the St. Louis Blues lost 2 games over the weekend, 4-1 against the LA Kings on Friday, and 2-1 against the Minnesota Wild on Saturday. The Blues are now in second place. In the Central Division, they play Montreal on Tuesday.
Get Sports Center updates every hour on Southeast Missouri's ESPN 92.9 FM and 1220 AM.
When it comes to wings, everyone knows size does matter, and no one knows it better than Wings Etc. Grill and Pub. Wings Etc. has the biggest, meatiest, award-winning jumbo wings in town. If you love wings and a whole menu of great food and drink options and tons of flat screens tuned into sports, we've got you covered. And now, when you can't eat here, order online for pickup at togo.wingsetc.com. It's fast, easy, and convenient. Wings Etc. Grill and Pub. Good food, great times, and online ordering at togo.wingsetc.com.
Have you downloaded the SEMO ESPN app?
Check it out, man.
Check it out now, free on the App Store or Google Play, and download today. Listen live to ESPN 92.9 FM or ESPN 1220 AM 24/7 in crystal clear audio. Watch the Red Hawks Coaches Show live video webcast. Enter our contest. Get local weather and live radar. See what others are saying on our Facebook and Twitter feeds. Everybody's downloading the free SEMO ESPN app. The real question, are you? Find it on the App Store or Google Play today.
End of message.
Now you can serve a great holiday meal with zero fuss. Just place an order for our $65 holiday carryout special with Farmer's Pick Buffet at Isle Casino Cape Girardeau. You get sliced turkey with gravy, glazed ham, and all the fixins, plus pecan or pumpkin pie. It serves 4 to 5 people. Available November 1st to December 30th. Visit IsleCapeGirardeau.com. Must be 21. Any and all terms, conditions, rewards, and or benefits published or received are subject to change or revocation without notice. Eligibility rules and exceptions apply. Refer to official promotional rules. Gambling problem? Call 1-888-BETS-OFF.
This is Southeast Missouri's ESPN Radio Sports Network, 92.9 KLSC.
could be better than them, but right now you're not. And so that's what our guys started to figure out. And once we got into it, now you give those teams confidence because you don't come out and play the way you're supposed to play, the right way. Then now all of a sudden you got a ball game. So we didn't share the basketball at all in the first half. We didn't defend. We just thought that we were going to win the game simply because we were Southeast Missouri State.
Right, and that's something, as you said, it's a different mindset for people, including the fact that, like you said, for 4 years they've been in the same system. It's not just they're coming in fresh off the court and having to learn a whole new thing at Southeast. These guys have been playing at Hannibal LaGrange 3 or 4 years. They know how things are going to go in motion. They know what it feels like as well, having played these kind of games against D1 opponents, what it feels like to be down, so they can have that resilience to come back. And as you said, giving them the opportunity to feel ahead or at least close and neck to neck going to the locker room is a bit of a tough spot to put yourself in.
Yeah, and I thought also the coach there did a really good job with their motion offense. They do some things that are not typical that you see. Most every team now is just like closeouts and ball screens.
Yeah.
Closeouts and ball screens. But with everybody now, they run some sort of a flare motion offense, and that's the first time guys have defended that. And so it's a little difficulty, and they're going to turn it over as far as their offense. So you have to be regimented. You have to be disciplined the way you guard them. And our guys just weren't prepared to do that. They just didn't have the correct mindset going into the game.
Yeah, but you turn that right around the second half, that bit of a locker room magic as it tends to happen, whatever encouragement you need during the halftime break. Come in, you have 8 steals of your 10 in the second half, and that's a nice showing, especially, as you said, adapting to that offense, maybe kind of growing around it. When you have lengthier players graduate, like Antonius Cleveland, we know he had a lot of steals last year, and some of that could be credited to his size. Does that change your defensive approach coming into a game, or especially against a team that has a different offense than you're used to seeing?
Well, when you have a guy like Antonius Cleveland, you know that you have a known commodity that can guard the other team's best player. Yeah. And we don't have that right now. We're trying to figure out who is that guy that can be our shutdown defender. Okay. So like and also you got a guy like Jamal Calvin who you know can guard the other team's best point guard or keep them in front of them and be a problem on the defensive end. So you lose those 2 known commodities. Then also with Trey, we had a guy, Trey Kellum, that we could switch ball screens with at that center position, and he could keep point guards and 2 guards in front of him. So, you know, it changes the way you have as far as like that known commodity. We're still searching for that. But, you know, at halftime, I told our guys, Corey, this is pretty simple. I said, we're playing one-on-one basketball on the offensive end. I said they're playing team basketball on the other end. And here's the sad part about it is, like, when they're playing team basketball, we can't guard them. We're playing one-on-one basketball, and we're supposed to be this big, strong, physical, athletic Division I team. Yeah. We're playing one-on-one basketball, and they're stopping us. So, you know, I don't know which one is more of a sad indictment for what's going on at this point in time. So, you know, you just got to have those, like, you know, real personal conversations with those guys and make them understand what we need to do. We need team defense on the other end. We need to be better individually defensively because we don't have a team defense if one person is not doing their job. We need all 5 guys out there working on the same accord. But the other end, we need to share the basketball. I said because when we share the basketball, they have a difficult time in guarding us, but we want to play one-on-one ball. So, you know, obviously I thought we were really good as far as like turning the ball over. Last year we forced a lot of steals, a lot of turnovers, but it wasn't because that we were gambling. It was simply because we were where we were supposed to be at when we were supposed to be there. Yeah. And so now people didn't have those splits in our defense that we're having at this point in time.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. I think you chalk it up because, as you said, the final score 83-59. It becomes, I think, much closer to what people would expect against an NAIA school. So I think, as a coach, I'm sure it's some of that mindset of just a learning moment where you have this game tape now where you look at the guys and say, okay, have you gotten that out of your systems now? It's one of those things you can't take for granted who you're playing against. No matter who they are, where they come from, you can end up on the other end of that box score really easily.
Yeah, and I thought also it gave us a great opportunity to play some different personnel. Isaiah Gable, a guy who hadn't played very much as a true freshman, got in there and gave us a lift. I mean, he played only 19 minutes, and in those 19 minutes he had 10 defensive rebounds. And so I thought he did a really good job of going in and getting his feet wet. And we're trying to find playing time for him. But it's difficult when you got guys like Milos Vranic, who's a senior that plays that 4 spot, and Denzel Mahoney, who's able to play that 4 spot and that 3 spot depending on matchups. So you got 2 quality players that, you know, 2 returning guys, only experience you really have on your team playing that position. It's kind of hard to find time for him. But I think he's, you know, starting to figure some things out, and we'll continue to try to get him on the court.
Yeah, you have that talk about Isaiah Gable here on the SEMO Men's Basketball Coaches Show. Coach Rick Ray, Cody Sandusky here with you at Wings, etc. and Cape. You mentioned Isaiah Gable, and that gives us an opportunity to go into that next game against North Carolina Central, that Saturday game out in Durham, North Carolina. Gable comes in 3 for 3 in three-pointers, so he picks up 12 minutes off the bench. And I know you'd mentioned it with Eric in the pregame that with Mark Laros out with mono, and you had Dondre Duffus waiting to come back. He's been cleared, as I understand it, so we might see him soon. But you had an opportunity to find some moments for Gable to rotate in, and I think he paid off in that respect pretty clearly with 3 for 3 from beyond the arc.
Well, you know, sometimes you're so oblivious to what's going on with your team. But we got there in Durham, North Carolina, and we had our shoot-around on game day. And so we always break up in 2 different groups and start running some of our dummy offense 5-on-0. And it just hit me at that point in time that we only had 9 guys. so we couldn't go 2 sets of 5 guys. And then I started to realize, like, whoa, we don't have a lot of personnel here. And then on top of that, one of those guys being Donnie Lewis, who's a non-scholarship walk-on guy. So then I started to realize we don't have a lot of depth here. So a guy like Isaiah Gable is going to be really pertinent and necessary in our offense and defense. But I think that the thing that you can't teach when it's all said and done are guys that are afraid of the moment. And so Isaiah Gable going into a hostile situation at North Carolina Central, they've had a tremendous amount of success there on their home court. So for him to go in and not blink, you know, and be 3 of 3 from the three-point line and make all of his attempts from the three-point line just speaks about him, how much confidence he has in his game. And then sometimes those guys are so young and inexperienced, they don't realize what they're doing. And so you don't know if it's like, hey, he's just a tough, you know, hard-nosed kid is locked in, or he's like totally oblivious, to what he's doing at this point in time. So, but I was happy with the way, and he does some things that I know that you can't see through radio on TV if you're not a coach at times, but he's doing a lot of things defensively that helps our ball club as far as being in the right places and making the right assignments and switching. So he's locked into those things as well, too.
It's got to be a good feeling, as we talked about with that North Carolina Central game. It was a home-and-home, which I know you had mentioned previously. You're not the biggest fan of in the regular season against non-conference teams, but with 5 players in double digits, you never trailed on that one. 62% from 3. All in all, a decent showing for a team that was really essentially only 8 deep going up against, as you said, a potent opponent from the MEAC.
Yeah, and I thought our guys did a good job of, like, paying attention and going out and carrying out assignments that we showed them and things that we had breakdowns with in our first game. Sometimes you can give guys that information, and it doesn't matter if they don't go out there and execute. And I thought our guys did a really good job of executing some of the things that we could exploit against North Carolina Central. I thought they did a great job, North Carolina Central did in our first game, of denying us catches and making us, like, be stagnant on the offensive end because the ball wasn't moving through the air because we weren't getting catches. And so we gave our guys some things that we could work on as far as, like, getting catches and moving the basketball around so the ball is not so stagnant. And when a team pressures you, when they take you out of things, there's only 2 things you can do. Get the ball to the paint, okay? And when you get the ball to the paint, there's 2 ways to get there. Pass the ball into the paint, so that's backdoor cuts, and there's also post feeds, okay? Yep. The other way is just drive the ball. You know, I always tell guys if they're denying you to the right and they're denying it to your left, that means the guy in the post is open, or you got to put your head down and drive the basketball and make a play. And I thought our guys did a good job of, like, having a happy balance between passing the ball into the paint with a couple backdoor passes, obviously finding Justin Carpenter in the paint, and then also driving the ball into the paint. So we shot a great percentage from the three-point line, but what I was most proud of, most times when you shoot a great percentage from the three-point line, you lose the battle of the points in the paint. But we still won the battle of the points in the paint. And we talked to our guys before the game. We shot 67% from the field in the first game when the ball hit the paint. So, like, it wasn't that we got a layup off of it, but, hey, maybe we got a penetration and kick 3. Right. But we shot 67% from the field. And with that, Cody, was also the fact we missed 11 layups in that first game. So if you can add just maybe half of that, maybe we shoot 75% from the field on paint touches. But we shot 21% from the field when the ball didn't hit the paint. Now, I'm not a genius. So, like,
but you're a math major, so you got something there.
It begs to figure, hey, like, let's get paint touches, boys. Like, let's get paint touches so we can be, you know, effective on the offensive end.
Find a way to play inside out, and you saw it in spades in this contest. Talking about Justin Carpenter, the freshman, 20 points, 3 assists, 6 rebounds, 8 for 8 from the field, including 1 from 3. The freshman stepping up, another one like an Isaiah Gable. We've seen more minutes for Justin the first part of this season, but with Laros out, you're putting Veronish in, you're putting Mahoney up, and he's going to have to come in and have some great moments. And the young man from Mount Carmel had a great showing against North Carolina Central, hopefully boosting some confidence in what the post can be this season.
Well, you can't play better than what he played. I think he ended up with 3 turnovers. That's the only thing that maybe he did that he needs to improve on. But he was perfect from the field, perfect from the free throw line. Did a great job. The thing that you don't see is he played great post defense on Davis. Davis is a guy that if he gets a catch, it's a problem because now we have to double team and you can't guard him one-on-one because when he gets the ball in the paint, he's going to dribble 4 to 5 times and no one can guard. It's like, being a secondary guy, a cornerback. Hey, no one can guard somebody if the quarterback has 5 seconds to throw the ball.
Exactly.
But when you give them 2 seconds, then they can guard him.
Things get frazzled.
So like for us, we want to make sure because when he gets the ball, he's going to dribble 4 to 5 times and we have to come help because nobody can guard in the paint that long. But I thought he did a tremendous job of taking away post catches away from Davis and then also doing a good job of blocking him out because Davis averages 4 offensive rebounds a game as well.
Yeah, and you had that talking about Davis, a radically different box score for him in that second one. 29 minutes, 11 points, only 4 rebounds in that situation. So 5 from 7 from the field. You get that when you're playing down low. But I remember hearing in the pregame, you and Eric talk about the fact that if he catches it down low, he's not passing it back out. So you know where the game plan is at that point. And to have an opportunity to not only know but capitalize upon that wasn't a stellar showing. Yeah, you had Gardner Jr. go off for 26. But when you can shut down your number 1 player on an offense, you can let other people beat you if you don't let the big guy beat you.
Yeah, we knew that the end result is going to be, hey, maybe on the perimeter we're going to give up something. But, I said really good shooters from the three-point line shoot about 40% from the three-point line. Yeah. Really good post guys shoot 67% from the field. So we need to make sure we take care of in first, and then we'll worry about out.
Yeah, and you saw that situation, like we said, as well for yourselves positively. A note that you've out-rebounded your opponents 6 games in a row right now. And when you're going up against a guy like Davis, like you said, you can contribute some of that to Carpenter and the guys down low boxing out. But this is a team in SEMO that was out-rebounded by an average of about 4 rebounds per game last year. So right now you're on a great run to where you're focusing on that fundamental of getting the ball, giving yourself more second-chance opportunities, and shutting down second chances for the other side. Is that a big thing you guys are harping on in practice right now, making sure that's a key focus for this team?
Well, it's 2 things that we talk about in terms of our rebounding. The first thing is it's gang rebounding, okay? It's 5 guys rebounding the basketball. We don't have this one dominant guy who's a great defensive rebounder. We just don't have that. And so it's really important that all 5 contribute. So we always talk about our guards coming downhill and help rebound the basketball. And so I thought we've done a really good job of our guards. And we show it on film all the time. Anytime a guy's leaking out or a guy's not coming downhill to get a rebound, we point it out on film all the time. The eyes in the sky, doesn't lie. So we talk about that. But the other thing is we talk about, hey, that defensive rebound is like the period on the end of a sentence. So you can have this great sentence going on here. We can have this great defensive possession going on. But if we don't get that defensive rebound and all that 30 seconds or 25 seconds of team defense all goes to naught, when you don't get that defensive rebound. And plus, when we defensive rebound, we're pretty good as far as getting out in the open court and making plays. We got so many versatile guys, especially when we have Denzel playing the 4 spot for us, that can bring the ball up the court and make plays.
Right.
And so that's what we want. I love that opportunity of when anybody gets the rebound, they're able to bust it out and go make a play. And the only way you can do that is if you get a defensive rebound.
That's right. You talk about that. You had 5 of the 6 players with 4 rebounds or more, like Daniel Simmons with 4, Vranish, Brewer with 4. So as you said, that gang rebounding mentality, everyone get involved. And I'm sure that's something for these guys. They're seeing the success, and hopefully that the reward of it working well means it's a little easier, that you don't have to push on it as much. It's a subtle reminder, hey, this has worked well when you've done it, so stay committed to it, and good things are going to follow.
Well, I think you got to incentivize everything as well, too, because, now we talk about, hey, you get a defensive rebound, just bust the ball up the court and play, and guys like to have the ball in their hands. And so, a guy that plays at 3, a guy that plays at 2, the guy that plays at 4, it doesn't matter. It's not just our point guard bringing the ball up the court, which makes it really hard for the opposing team to scout against us because we're pretty good in the open court. But also, hey, you get that defensive rebound, man, let's go. You can go up and let's make a play. So I like the fact that our guys, they like it when they get a defensive rebound and they're able to push the ball up the court themselves.
I'll rotate back a bit as we talk to Coach Rick Ray. It's the SEMO Men's Basketball Coaches Show live at Wings Etc. in Cape on SEMO ESPN, live streaming on SEMOESPN.com. I mentioned at the start that you'd said you don't really care for non-conference games going home and home in the same season, but it is something obviously you see a lot in conference play. It's something you have to replicate. And with as young a team as you have coming in this year, do you think there's maybe some subtle benefit to it, despite this being kind of a last-minute put-together with North Carolina Central, that it maybe shows the guys you can get a win back if you have maybe some faltering moments. You have an opportunity to do that, but also know that this is what happens when you play teams twice in a short period. They're going to know what you're bringing to the table, so you have to be prepared to execute that as best as you can.
Well, it's funny you talk about that, Cody, because we always, in practice, we have situations where we're trying to run our offense or trying to run a set play, and the guys say, well, Coach, it's hard for me to get a catch here because they know what I'm doing. And I said, oh, you mean the teams that we're going to play, they don't have scouting services, they don't have TV, they don't have video, they don't have coaches that watch tape. Of course, I mean, that's the whole point of it. Like, you got to be able to execute when the other team knows what you're doing. Yeah. And so we always talk about, can we take the information that we have and, like, transfer it over so that we execute on the other end. So I think there's always a benefit, but the best benefit of it, Cody, is, like, when you win. So I don't know if there's a benefit to it if you go out and do all these things and the end result is you end up with an L. So now we got 2 losses. But I thought for us to go out and have success against a team like North Carolina Central on the road, because that team is probably going to win the MEAC or come in second in the MEAC.
They're going to be fighting for a tournament spot.
That's what they always done. So this is a really quality win for us on the road. So I think our guys are always growing up. Anything that we do that transfers to success this season is going to be the first time that any of these guys, for the most part, experiencing that type of success. Right. So, Justin Carpenter getting a road win, that's the first time he got a road win, period. Isaiah Gable getting a road win. That's the first. Yeah, I mean, so these are first time ever for a lot of these guys. So it's always going to be a positive experience when we can do something we haven't done this season, because it's going to be the first time ever.
Yeah, and not only that, but you have a situation with these guys, you said, a team in North Carolina Central that's more than likely going to win the MEAC. That means you can put on the minds of your players that you beat a team that is contending or likely to be in the 64-man tournament come in March. So it's something that boosts the confidence of a program that looks to achieve that. As in the OVC, you only have that one spot. You can now have that mindset for these players of, hey, we can beat the teams in our conference that regularly contend for this, or at least we think we can, because we've beaten another team that's going to be in that spot.
Yeah, when you talk about a team like Louisiana Tech, I mean, we go on the road and we take them to overtime, we end up with a loss. And our guys are texting me because, Louisiana Tech is in a tight game at Alabama, and that's, to this date, that's their only loss is a loss at Alabama, or they win the tournament down in Cancun. They realize how good of a team Louisiana Tech is and what they did at their place. And so now it shows the potential of this team if we continue to try to do the right things.
Yeah, it's a promising feeling, I'm sure, as you get to this point. And I know we look forward to the next part of the schedule. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But I want to remind you, 12:29 here in Cape Girardeau. It is the SEMO Men's Basketball Coaches Show live at Wings Etc. in Cape. Come on out. Got plenty of spots ready for lunch. The half-pound lunch special starting at $6.99. We're going to take a quick timeout, come back, do a little bit of shuffling. Hope to speak a couple of moments with Justin Carpenter. And, of course, at the end of the show, we'll have our preview of what's coming up. 2 big games coming up this week against UMKC and against SIU Carbondale. So a lot of promise to talk about. We're going to come back in a couple of moments. It's the SEMO Men's Basketball Coaches Show live at Wings Etc. in Cape on SEMO ESPN.
Don't miss the Red Hawks Coaches Show this year at Wings Etc. in Cape and Jackson. The Red Hawks Coaches Show airs every Tuesday from noon to 1 on the SEMO ESPN network at SEMOESPN.com.
Coach Richardson, like you said, you guys talk all the time, text all the time. When it comes to game week, does it turn into radio silence, kind of not sharing any ideas, or is it still pretty steady communication?
No, it's still pretty steady communication. I don't get with the advent now of like technology, you got every game.
Right.
So if you can't figure out what the other team is doing when you got all that tape available, us having a conversation is not going to change, what's going on. So, what we're doing. You got it on tape. So it doesn't change our relationship coming up to it. So I know they'll get in, today. We'll go out and have a drink and talk and catch up and things. And he'll come over to the house. And, my boys, they call him Uncle K. Rich. So that's how they know him. So he'll come over and see my family. So it's not really that big of a deal.
Right. Just an opportunity to catch up and kind of get everything back together with a friendship, because distance doesn't really break it apart. It just gives you more time to catch up when you're together. But you go from that one game coming up on Wednesday, the home game, you go across the river, not too terrible far, to SIU Carbondale on Saturday. And I know a name that may sound familiar to some, Kavion Pippen, nephew of Scottie Pippen, an NBA great, as a Bulls fan, of course. Not only do I know him because he's great, but know him that. But you have a player coming in, a sizable player, 6'10", had 2 years at Three Rivers, and so far has kind of been the fulcrum for that SIU offense. So you talk about maybe some of the assistant coaches saying, hey, we don't have as much of the size as we need. Well, you've got some size in Pippen. Now, you don't have ball playing as much because he's kind of nursing an injury, but you still have a post presence that maybe is reminiscent of what you saw a bit from Davis from NCC, pardon me.
Yeah, and he's the type of guy, we recruited him really hard over at Three Rivers. He eventually chose SIU. So we're very familiar with his skill set and the things that he does on the basketball court. He's a really long player. So he's a guy that around the rim affects you two ways. On the offensive end, because of how long he is, he's able to cover a lot of ground in a short amount of time. So he only needs one dribble to get to the rim, or he can maneuver and get around the rim and make layups. But he's also the type of guy on the defensive end, because of his length, that really affects you at the rim. Yep. So he's a guy that can block shots. He can change shots. He gets a lot of rebounds, both in the offensive and defensive end. And then he's really, his lateral quickness is really good. So he's able to play great ball screen defense.
So a guy that can shift, but he's also not just the key point. You have a Saluki team that is dominated by juniors. Not really a lot of youth on this roster. Some of them obviously being new to the program from transfers, but these are guys that have been in college basketball for a couple of years. So kind of take us through how you go through it with your players. As you said, a lot of youth on this team, a lot of freshmen underclassmen, convincing them that, hey, yeah, just because they've been around the game a few years doesn't mean you can't compete against these kinds of guys.
Well, I never get into seniority. Okay. Guys that are freshmen, sophomore, juniors, seniors, to me, what we talk about, hey, you're on scholarship. Yep. We gave you a scholarship to come here and play basketball. SIU gave their guys scholarship to come play basketball. So when you have 13 scholarship players, you would hope that they're able to compete in Division I college basketball. If not, why did you give them a scholarship? Yeah. So if people get into that experience. I never get into that. We gave him a scholarship, so he should be able to play basketball. I don't care if he's a freshman, a junior college transfer, whatever. So we don't get into that. We don't talk about it with the opposing team. I just think, to me, we got to give them enough information as it is. Why give them more information, to me, that really doesn't matter?
And more information that will concern some guys. You don't want to test the mental capacity too early on in terms of stressing them out beforehand. So we wrap up here on the SEMO Men's Basketball Coaches Show on SEMO ESPN. We haven't given a lot of attention, and I'll take a little bit of that on the guys like Ladarius Brewer and some of these big components that are shooting from outside. You're having some success with these guys. Is that a focal point you think you're going to see more in these next two games? Because you had a great shooting clip from 3, 10 for 16 against North Carolina Central. So you feel, at least at this point, there's some great success coming from beyond the arc. Are those some names we expect to hear a lot more this week going out to 3, or is it going to be just as it goes?
Well, no, for us, we recruit guys that can shoot the ball. To me, that's the equalizer in college basketball, is when you have guys that can stretch the defense out and make those open threes. And so we recruited guys like Ladarius Brewer and Ray Kowalski and Isaiah Gable because they can shoot the basketball. And some of the guys that are shooting not a great percentage for our team at this point in time, they're going to get going. Ray Kowalski is not going to continue to miss wide open threes. Yeah. He's going to make those threes. Guys like Isaiah Gable getting it going from the three-point line now. Ladarius Brewer is a guy, we just need him to kind of reduce some of the shots that he takes, as far as he can make difficult shots, but sometimes he takes too many difficult shots.
Right.
So we're just trying to make sure he understands the difference between a quality shot and a non-quality shot, because when he takes quality shots, I mean, his shooting percentage is just through the roof. Yeah. But when he takes those contested threes, those are the shots that end up being bad. But that's part of being a freshman. I mean, he made those shots in high school all the time because people couldn't contest his shot because he's a 6'5" superior athlete.
The closing out's harder.
Yes. But here now you have more guys that can contest those shots. But I think that's always going to be a focal point of our team, having guys that can make threes.
It's going to be a fun week for you guys. UMKC 6:15 is when that game's coverage begins on SEMO ESPN, then on SIU Carbondale's campus on Saturday. Head Coach Rick Ray, as always, sir, appreciate your time. Have a good rest of the week and enjoy some fun with Coach Richardson today.
Thank you very much, Cody.
As Head Coach Rick Ray, appreciate his time here at Wings Etc. in Cape. It's been the SEMO Coaches Show. I am Cody Sandusky. Thank you for joining us today. Reminder, next week we are at Wings Etc. in Jackson, so stay tuned for that at noon on SEMO ESPN and live streaming on SEMOESPN.com. But that's it, and that's all for us. Remember, 6:15 pregame, 6:30 tip-off at the Show Me Center on Wednesday. First 1,500 attendees get a Rowdy Juan Kenobi bobblehead. I've seen the pictures of it. It looks awesome. Make sure to get yourself out there and pick up that memento. But until next time we speak, I'm Cody Sandusky saying thanks for tuning in to the SEMO Coaches Show. Stay safe, stay cool, and we'll catch up with you next time.
Don't miss the Sports Huddle with Eric, Sean, and Jess Boland every weekday morning at 9.
Let the games begin.
On ESPN 1220 KGIR, Cape Girardeau.
We see here's what's happening. The Giants have made an in-season coaching change for the first time in more than 4